Hey, welcome back to Brighter Rays. This week we're looking at a study called Teaching the Younger Men, and today we're looking at part 2, which is called Self-Controlled. Now, as we follow the progression of thought, Paul started with the older men and described what they should be, and then he says, likewise, and proceeds to describe what the young and older women ought to be. And then Paul says, likewise, again. The call to live the Christian life in the church is a call that crosses gender and age. Did you notice that there is one thing that elders, older men, women, and young men are expected to be? It's self-controlled, or sometimes translated as sober-minded. This is one thing that all of us need to be working on. We are in the struggle to be self-controlled together. Remember that being self-controlled does not refer to behavioral modification. We can change what we do without changing the way we think. But being self-controlled means that you have changed the way you think, which in turn has changed your behavior. Why do we often fall back into the same old sins that we thought we've mastered? Well, because we've never truly changed the way we thought about sin. I've talked to young men about addiction to pornography before, and they wonder why they can't break free. They change their behavior for a while, but then they go right back into the sin. The problem is that they're not sober-minded. They're not self-controlled in this way. They haven't addressed the real problem. They have a wrong view of women, of sex, of marriage, of God. They need to submit those areas of thought to God first before they would begin to see their actions changed. That's how it works. Because you can stop things for a while. You can change what you do for a while. But unless your mind is changed, unless you renew your mind, you're going to go right back to the same old thing. That's what we do, when we're trying to train children. We can't just change their behavior. We can't just modify their behavior and then expect that they would always do the things that they should be doing. Training them up in the way they should go means you're training their mind mostly. And if you train the mind, then the actions will follow. So if you don't want to keep lying, you can try to stop yourself from lying. You can try to stop it and oh, I lied, stop doing that. Oh, lied, and you can try to stop yourself, and you can stop yourself for a while, but unless you realize my lie, what is it doing? Why am I lying? Why am I thinking this way? Why does the thought of lying even come into my brain? And try to analyze that and examine that and then try to fix that. It's going to keep doing the same thing. So there needs to be an all-encompassing approach here. Paul said to the Corinthians that we are to take every thought captive to obey Christ. This is what it means to be self-controlled. The picture here is one that people back then understood better, but I think we can get it too. Paul's picturing warring armies. The commander of the army attacks the stronghold, tearing down the walls and other battlements that were set up that would try to prevent the army from advancing. Once those are down, the army advances and captures the opposing forces. The enemy soldiers are bound together, where they form a parade of beaten and humiliated captives. They are marched back to the king, where they are forced to obey him. This is what we are called to do with our thoughts and with the thoughts of others, but that's a teaching of another time, because that's really specifically what he's talking about in that passage. Now, young men, you need to treat your thoughts that are not in line with Scripture, and you need to treat them in a way that is as if they're an enemy. You can't be just gentle with them. You have to be aggressive. You got to realize that your thoughts that are going against God are wanting to kill you. So you have to attack them with all you have. You have to subdue them. Don't let them get away. Don't let them have their own little, place in your brain that is able to do what it wants to do. You have to attack them. You have to then parade them down the street. You have to mock them. Show them for what they are. Then go before the king and force them to kneel before him. And then go out and do it again to the glory of God. So young men need to get this idea. I think for young men, it's a powerful image. It's like, I am a soldier. My thoughts that are going against God are the enemy. I have to go and tear down those strongholds. I need to rip them down and go after them. Get those thoughts, parade them through the street as a beaten enemy, and then present them before God. Say, here, King, here's what I've won. Here is, the enemy. They've been defeated. That's what we've been called to do as young men, but really as all people. Since this command transcends age and gender, we're all to think this way. We're all to go after this, but especially for young men too, you have to make war on your thoughts. This is a war that you're in against, as oftentimes we call it, the flesh. The fleshly ideas, that fleshly mind wants those things, and you have to say, nope, I'm tearing you down. You're going back to the King. So that's what we need to work on every single day, and that's what we need to work on for the rest of our lives. That's the war we're engaged in from the moment we're a believer to the day we die. And so we need to pray that God would help us to take every thought captive, to be sober-minded, to be self-controlled in this way.